The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Hello and welcome into week 3 of the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman falls in its South Atlantic Conference opener to the Limestone Saints on the road at Saints Field, 45-14. I'm Adam Cavalier, the voice of the Eagles, alongside Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. Mike, a game where I guess the script flipped from the first 2 weeks. First 2 weeks of the season, defense was a dominant force on Saturday against the Saints. Had issues tackling for the first time all season. What did you see out of your team in a frustrating loss where you moved the football but couldn't punch it in and at times couldn't get guys to the ground?
You know, I think that's the thing that, you probably hit the main words on defense is, frustrating, and it's primarily because of the tackling. I thought there were a lot of times that we were in position to make plays that we didn't make. And, we had guys that didn't bring their arms, didn't bring their feet with them when they showed up to tackles, and we just kind of bumped into people. And, they did a good job of continuing to keep their feet running and working off of those. And then, we played some man coverage. And a lot of times, like a lot of those were one-on-one tackles in critical situations that we had to make, and we didn't make them.
Sure, tackling was certainly a thing against VUL and ETSU, and you bring up the man coverage. It had played man almost exclusively the first 2 weeks of the season, went zone at times against the Saints, especially in the second half. Was that just a byproduct of the tackling issues that reared their heads in the first half?
Yeah, you got to give yourself a chance to get other guys to the football. We didn't do a good job, early on with our substitutions. Guys weren't getting on and off the field, the way that we needed to. We wound up giving up a big play and burning time out at the very beginning of the game. And then, we didn't have the energy that we played with the last 2 weeks.
Offensively, this is a weird one. And to be fair, I've never really dived in to this stat before, but I did this week. On third down, in your own territory, you were 5 for 8. In Limestone territory, you were 2 for 9 on third down. You had 8 drives go into Limestone territory, only 2 of them score. You only went 3 and out once. You moved the ball at times, but once it got into Limestone territory, it was like a wall was built. What was that owed to?
I think for us, just learning that situation where we're at and finishing drives, once you get a little bit closer to their area, things kind of tighten down a little bit, and we've got to understand that part of the game. And then I think several of those, we wound up doing something else, a penalty, or not picking up a guy on a block, that would kind of force us into getting into a lot of those situations were third and long situations as opposed to being, what we call third and manageable.
Carson-Newman falls on the road in its South Atlantic Conference opener to the Limestone Saints, 45-14. We break down the first half when we get back after these messages on the Mike Clowney Show.
Sure, we've been around a while, 171 years to be exact. We know the power of a liberal arts-based Christian education and the tremendous potential of what can be found on this campus, within this community. We are adventurers, dreamers, believers, passionate and compassionate, curious and clever, driven by a common purpose towards a common goal.
I found my passion.
I found purpose.
We are Carson-Newman.
What will you find?
All right, back on the Mike Clowney Show as Carson-Newman falls in its South Atlantic Conference opener to the Limestone Saints, 45-14. Adam Cavalier alongside the Eagles head man Mike Clowney. Mike, a first half where it couldn't have gone worse, I guess, unless you were just throwing the ball to Limestone. But Limestone scores on its first 4 possessions. Carson-Newman punts on its first 4 possessions. I guess it really could have gone worse because you did move the football. You did move the football and you didn't turn the football over in the first half. But big plays hadn't been a problem for Carson-Newman defensively this season. You hadn't allowed to play longer than 29 yards on the year. You had 3 50-yard plays against you in the first half. Was that entire? I don't want to beat a horse that's on the ground, but was that all tackling?
I mean, most of that I think was tackling. I mean, we still, blew a couple coverages, like let guys get open free, and we didn't tackle them. So tackling wasn't an issue on those. It's just all around. I just don't think the focus was there that we needed, going into this football game, and we have to go and figure out why that is. We did lose a day almost of preparation to where we weren't able to get on the field and practice the way that we wanted to. But we talk about being unshakable, that's some of those things that you have to be able to work and work your way through. But, I think this group's a resilient group, and I think they'll come back this week ready to work and get done what we need to get done.
Credit Limestone. Had been without their quarterback for a game and a half. Dustin Noller, an all Piedmont Division quarterback, as good as advertised. And, of course, Trey Stewart. He's an all-conference back for a reason, and he showcased some of those skills as well.
Yep, they've got some talented kids with their quarterback. I thought he threw the ball really well. I thought they did a good job of protecting him and giving him time. These other games we've been able to get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. Felt like that was something that we would be able to do going into this game, but didn't happen as frequent as we thought it would. And in their back, I thought he did a good job of running the football. Same thing, even that first play from scrimmage where we kind of let him catch the corner. We just got to make sure that we do a better job of leveraging things and not giving him those little alleys and avenues. There are points in times where I thought our guys did a good job of rallying and making plays on him, but it wasn't, in the consistent fashion that we needed.
Special teams have been problematic against ETSU. I guess if there is one positive, punt coverage, punt block, substantially better than last week.
Yeah, it's something we worked on and kind of harped on throughout the week, just kind of making sure that we could get those fixed, and it really wasn't as bad as it looked, like we just kind of had a guy out of position, and being able to adjust that, I thought was good for us. But then this time our woes in special teams came from, kickoff return.
Yeah, I thought that was a tone setter, to the detriment early. I think it was the second kickoff, was bobbled in the end zone instead of taking a knee for a touchback, bring it out, and it's I think you started on your 7, and then third kickoff, a pooch kick that landed, and again, forgive me, this is going to bleed over from the actual call of the game from my vantage point. I think it hit maybe 20-ish, but nobody picked it up, rolls inside the 10, and back-to-back drives, you start inside your 10, move the ball, and again, kind of the old song and dance from that game, stalled out once you got in Limestone territory.
Yep, those were, you just kind of, that stuff creates a negative energy, and then you have to work to kind of overcome that energy. Obviously, we missed the ball in the end zone, and, it's just, the obvious thing is, we can fair catch or take a knee there regardless and get the ball at the 25. A lot of them, if they're close, then we will try to return them because that's a chance to hit a big play. The reason they pooched the ball because they knew that we had creases there that we hadn't hit, and so they kicked the ball short on the next one, and we miscommunicate, on who's getting the football and let it, it's kind of one of those, it was a good pooch kick in between balls, and the deep guys got to make a call, and then we got to connect on that communication, and we didn't. We let the ball hit the ground, and then we have to come fall on it back here inside the 10. And those just like the same thing we talked about last week. It's the same thing when you're giving yourself a 95-yard field versus a 80-yard field or a 75-yard field. It just makes things a little bit tougher.
Carson-Newman trailed at the halftime break to the Limestone Saints 24-0, and here are those first half highlights.
The Eagles punted on drive 1. Trips to the right, Stewart in motion behind Noller, split out to the right. Aller takes, steps up in the pocket, throws middle of the field. That is batted away and incomplete. Major Williams stuck his paw in before it could get to Jelani Baker over the left side hash. Is down at the 10, credited as a pass because of the toss sweep motion. Handoff goes to Stewart straight ahead. He's hit at the line of scrimmage and dropped. Justin Triplett.
Now they can kind of go to their regular stuff because they got enough room to have for the quarterback to retrieve.
3rd and 7. The give is to Stewart, left side. Stewart wiggling around in the backfield. He will not get away from Jaheim Wilson and Jake Cottle. 3rd and 1 for the Eagles, right hash at their own 44. Luttrell takes the snap. The give straight ahead, Curtis. He's got the first down to Moore across midfield. Curtis stiff-arming a tackler at the 45. Rolling inside the St. 40. And he's brought down at the 35-yard line by Jeremiah Lomax. Tyler Curtis, 21 hard yards.
Those are the first half highlights as Carson-Newman trailed it at the break to Limestone, 24-0. Mike Clowney, what was your message in the halftime locker room to, I guess, both settle things down but also spark things a little bit?
You know, I think the big thing for us at halftime is those 2 words you don't want to say as coach, just hurry up and let's go. You know, that means that we aren't running at the tempo that we want to run at. You know, I thought there a lot of our guys that had more than what we were doing, you know, in that first half. And so just encouraging them, like, even though, you know, you're in a moment to where you think you're giving everything that you got, you know, as a guy that knows you and loves you and cares about you, like there's more in the tank than what we're doing and what we're giving at the moment. And that was really just kind of the message there.
There were positives from this game. Running backs, I thought Cam Ferguson, Jaden Sullins, Tyler Curtis. Again, you rushed for more than 200 yards against a Limestone defense that had tamped down both West Georgia and West Alabama. What did you see from your running backs getting going, especially in the second half?
You know, I thought the effort there, I mean, we got better second half of kind of see a hole, hit a hole, and thought they did a good job of continuing to keep their feet moving. You know, we kind of made a couple of adjustments, kind of start working on a little bit more runs. They were a little bit more just kind of direct rather than things they had to feel their way through. I thought they handled, you know, that part of the game well. You know, we blocked a little bit better up front the second half. You know, I thought guys kind of took that charge and wanted to go finish the game. You know, we just still weren't too far from being able to get back in the game if we can get a couple scores.
We'll break down the second half here in a moment, but hadn't been hit by the turnover bug this season. You were in the third quarter with three interceptions. Granted, one of them was on a 4th and 12 play where honestly would have been better off for Limestone if the guy dropped it. But hadn't turned it over, did on 3 straight possessions in that third quarter.
You know, same thing. It just creates negative energy. You know, one of them, the first one, you know, I think was probably the most critical of that drive. I mean, they get the ball, we get a stop defensively, we get the ball back, and then we get a tip pass that goes to their linebacker. But, you know, that's one thing that we harp on all the time is just making sure that we take care of the football. Even the one that's where you said, like, his 4th down, we're going for it. You know, like, he still creates negative energy, you know, on the stat sheet and on the sideline. You know, just kind of like you want to make sure that, you know, we give ourselves a chance at that ball. And so turning the ball over makes it hard to have success.
Carson-Newman falls at Limestone by a final score of 45-14. We break down the second half after these messages on the Mike Clowney Show. Back on the Mike Clowney Show, Carson-Newman drops its Road South Atlantic Conference opener to the Limestone Saints by a final score of 45-14. Mike, we touched on it before the break. Within striking distance at the half, I mean, it would take a perfect half of football. But the 3 straight turnovers to begin the second half was what ended up burying your team. And yet, still managed to find the fight to have some positive moments late. How crucial is that for this team to, as it grows, to move forward?
I think it is very critical because I think, there's some areas to where, we're still evaluating people, especially offensively. We're rolling so many people in and out the game. You try to figure out like who that steady Eddie of people will wind up being. So it gave our kids another chance to kind of compete to where we can kind of see, what they're doing on film to make sure that we can keep and get the right personnel on the field. Same thing defensively. We're game to where we, had a group of guys that's played pretty steady, and then we get in the game and struggle a little bit the way we did to be able to, get a couple guys out there to where, they can gain a little bit more game experience to where, our coaches feel more comfortable getting them involved.
Julius Cobbs gets his first career start at wide receiver, promptly catches 4 passes, leads your team with more than 40 yards receiving through the air. What's he done? Transfer out of West Georgia to kind of work his way into that starting role.
Julius is a kid we felt good about. His brother Ivan played quarterback for us last year. We run into that thing with Julius to where he's late to camp. Got here on time, but we were late being able to get him on the field, to get him involved to where he can start learning what to do. And so it's kind of taken to this point for him to kind of start, getting to where he can line up and execute plays, and then you're starting to see some of a little fruit from that.
I thought Jalen Myers, who got reps late, looked good running the option. What did you see from your Kentucky State transfer?
Jalen was real poised, in the game. He didn't let the game bother him. The option stuff, like I say, is something that really kind of comes natural to him because he's done it for so long. He's a competitor. He played at Alcoa over here, local kid, and so, we're seeing the same thing with Jalen. He's a guy that, we don't get involved in camp until, really almost media day, like super late in camp. And so, there's been a learning curve for him, but he's starting to kind of pick some things up to be able to compete.
Carson-Newman falls at Limestone by a final score of 45-14, and here are those second half highlights.
Luttrell in the gun, 1st and 10, left hash at his own 43. They give it straight ahead to Ferguson. Ferguson into the second level. Ferguson stiff-arming a man across the 30. Stays on his feet inside the 25 and dragged down from behind by John Gregory down at the 23-yard line. Nelson to his right. Myers will run option, pitch it. Jaden Sullins right side. Sullins into the second level. He's across the 40 and 50. Sullins weaves his way left into St. territory at the 45 and is grabbed by Lomax and brought down to the boundary right down at the 40. Myers in the gun. Ferguson to his left. Curtis to his right. Myers takes, gives Curtis left side. Hop, skip, jump. He's there. Touchdown. Carson-Newman.
All right, those are the second half highlights from Carson-Newman's loss at Limestone. When we get back on the Mike Clowney Show, it's time for our Talent Talk. Zane Whitson walks the field when we return after these messages on the Mike Clowney Show.
Tri-Light is proud to support Carson-Newman Athletics. We salute the student athletes who are working hard to make great things happen on the field, in the classroom, and in the world. It takes vision, commitment, and teamwork, qualities we share at Tri-Light. Our mission is to provide life-changing opportunities by building a world-class fiber broadband network. If you'd like to learn more, please visit trilight.net or call us at 833-847-0824. We love to cheer for our home teams, like the Eagles. It means more when we're rooting for the people we know. Did you know Tri-Light is your home team internet provider? We're right here in Jefferson City, serving the people we know with our ultra-fast, ultra-reliable fiber broadband network. And we'd love to serve you. Learn more at trilight.net or by calling 833-847-0824. Go Eagles!
All right, back on the Mike Clowney Show as we recap and rehash the Eagles' South Atlantic Conference opening loss at Limestone. But now it's time for our Talent Talk. And this week, walking the field with Andrew Rogers, it's Zane Whitson.
Andrew Rogers here with Zane Whitson on another episode of Talent Talk. Zane, let's get walking here. 4-year letterman in high school, basketball and football. What ultimately allowed you to choose football over basketball in the collegiate ranks?
Man, I've had a love for the game of football my whole life. I've enjoyed it. I can look at it sort of as like a chess game. I enjoy football because if they do this, I can do this, and it takes a lot more strategy, I feel like, than, basketball. You just get in there and beat, and if you can shoot, you can shoot, and I couldn't shoot too well, and so, that's sort of why I picked football. I enjoyed it a little bit more, and there's a lot more strategy into it.
Yeah, so is the scouting report when defending Zane on the basketball floor, leave him open?
Yeah, just watch out. I like to throw a little bit of elbows. I get in there and I get nasty, but they're going to let me shoot. I'm basically a rebound guy. Yeah. That's what I'm for.
Let's switch it over here to football. You came here last year, transferred in from Middle Tennessee State, sat out a year pretty much as the backup, and now you're the full-time starter. What'd you learn in that year of transition?
There was a lot to learn, sitting behind Ivan Corbin here, and then I got to sit behind Nick Battiato up at MTSU, and there was a lot to learn. I had a lot to mature, not really as my game-wise, but mentally-wise, and I feel like that was really helpful for me. That was the one thing that I was able to learn and really contribute to this team this year, and that's what I'm hoping to do as going on.
It's the tight end to the right of the line, wide side to the right. Play fake to Ferguson, Whitson back to pass, wants to launch to Cobbs along the left side, hauls it in at the 10, turns upfield, and sprints across the goal line for 6. Touchdown, Carson-Newman.
We'll flip it over to some fun questions. How would you describe your style with one word?
My style, snazzy. Snazzy, you never know. I'm a sit in the pocket guy, but if I have to jump over somebody or go get that first down, that's what I can do. So snazzy, You never know.
Let's do favorite dish to make, or best dish you make.
I'm not too good at cooking, as my roommates say, but one thing I can cook, thankfully to my girlfriend's mom, I can cook chili pretty good. It takes 20 minutes, and I put it in the pot, and you brown the meat, you put the tomato sauce in there. I like my stuff spicy, some cayenne pepper, and I'm telling you, it turns out good.
I'm a little hungry now.
Yeah, that's it.
Best sporting event you've attended as a fan?
Best sporting event, man. I like NASCAR. I went to a dirt race with my mom, and we went to that dirt race, and Kyle Busch ended up winning. I like Kyle Busch, and everybody hates him, so everybody's chanting boo and all this stuff. It was awesome. That was the best fan moment I've had.
Where was it?
Bristol, about 30 minutes from home. We went. It was about 2 years ago, and it was just me, my mom, and my stepdad. It was awesome.
Let's go back over to football to wrap things up as we continue on. Went to Dobbins-Bennett, nearby from Kingsport. What's it been like to play closer to home and so close to your family?
It's awesome, being an hour away, actually an hour and 8 minutes from home. It's awesome because I get to really be next to my family. They get to come to the games. I get to see them after. I get to see them before. My sister, she's up at MTSU, so she's about 3 hours from here. It's not too far. It really means a lot because family's a big thing to me. You really just be with them and get to spend more time at MTSU. I was 4 hours away, so it was a little bit harder. And coming back home, I get to see my grandpa, and he's been my #1 supporter my whole life. And so, having them around, it really means a lot to me.
As a starting quarterback now in your second season with Carson-Newman, how do you want to progress as a full-time starter as this year goes on?
There's still a lot to learn. I've got a lot to grow on the field. I've made a bad mistake the last game, throwing an interception, and I feel like there's a lot to learn in that. But I feel like Coach McKeithen, he's prepared me in a great way where I can put me in a position to succeed, and I feel like that's what we're going to end up doing by the time the season's over.
I think a really high GPA near a 4.0. How have you been able to be successful on the football field, but then also maintain your studies in the classroom?
That's just how I was raised. That's how I've always been raised, is school comes first. And so I'm not quite to a 4.0. I'm at a 3.83, but I'm a Golden Eagle Scholar, and I'm pretty close, and I feel like it's transitioned from the school to the football field where I'm able to make up for my lack of size and stuff with my brain, and I feel like that's really helped me.
Final question for you. When it's all said and done, what do you hope to accomplish in your football career? When you sit back as a 40-year-old man, say, okay, I wanted to accomplish this and I did.
I feel like what I really want to accomplish is that it grew me into a bigger man and a better man, and that it showed me that you should put God first in your life and that you can exceed anything you put your mind to.
Appreciate the time, Zane. Best of luck this year.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
That's Zane Whitson on another episode of Talent Talk.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew Rogers, Zane Whitson, Mike Clowney. What a personality! What a guy who has come in and as a sophomore started to make an impact on this program.
Man, Zane is, you just laugh when you get him because that's where you say, his personality, man. He's just a great person to be around. Just always enthusiastic, always excited about things that's going on, not just in his life, but the people that's around him. You know, is always there trying to find a way to help his teammates. You know, he's just a great guy to have in a program, have leading your football team.
All right, turn your attention to another tall task in South Atlantic Conference play. I mean, pretty much you line up your crossover portion of the schedule with the Piedmont Division, and you get the top three. Limestone started it off. They were receiving votes to start the year. Now you get a team in Lenoir-Rhyne that I'm presuming, based on the D2 results this week, is a cod lock for the top 15. Definitely the top 20, but it wouldn't shock me to see them in the top 15. The Bears' special teams and defense has been insane this year. I think they outscored Erskine 35-0 on special teams and defense alone on Saturday. What do you have to get ready? What do you have to do to get ready for one of the most dynamic defenses and special teams units in the country?
You know, I think the big thing for us is we gotta really slow down on the special teams aspect and make sure that we understand, you know, the situations and what we're doing, and make sure that we don't give them something there. You know, if they go take something, then that's on them, but we can't give them anything. And then offensively, I think we just got to continue to grow in what we're doing. I think we got to find a way to get the ball downfield, get the ball in the end zone naturally. It's going to be something that's essential for us. But you know, I think our guys will continue to work to rise to that task. And defensively, we're going to have to ask them to go back and respond the way we responded before this game.
All right, Mike Clowney, pleasure as always. We'll talk to you Saturday after a game with the Bears.
Looking forward to it.
That's Carson-Newman head football coach Mike Clowney. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier. This has been the Mike Clowney Show. Thanks for watching.